there are some very mysterious mountains in the US with some very strange phenomena. Hi guys, we are talking a lot about volcanoes and mountains on this channel, but these mountains, they might be volcanoes, but some are not. But what these mountains are doing or showing or what's happening there is really, really strange. So I thought we should have a look at the 13 US mountains that have very strange phenomena. The US in general is home to some of the world's most majestic mountain ranges. Like we have the Rocky Mountains, we have the Appalachians, but beyond that natural beauty that these mountains are showing us, certain mountains harbor mysterious phenomena that have really baffled scientists. So it's not just like an esoteric weird thing or some ghost hunters or whatever. No, scientists are looking into this and they say this is strange. They have also, of course, intrigued paranormal investigators at the same time, and they have spawned countless local legends. So what's going on? These mountains become more than only geographical features. Because of that, they transform into like epicenters of the unexplained, where magnetic anomalies distort compass readings, for example. Could that be from magma? We will see. Like, even ghostly apparitions wander around misty slopes from some volcanoes. There might be an explanation for that. And also inexplicable light dance across night skies coming from some mountains. Is this volcanic activity? We've seen some strange lightning from volcanoes. We will look into this. It's fascinating, guys. The explanation is not as easy as you think it is. There's strange weather patterns, like to unexplained disappearances. So these mountains that are spread across America have earned reputations as hotspots of phenomena that challenge our understanding of the natural world. So let's start with the first mountain that I want to introduce to you. Mount Marcy sounds like a nice girl. It's in New York, in the state of New York. It has a vanishing trail and time distortions. What? Don't go hiking there, it sounds. Let's look into this. It's New York's highest peak at 5,344 feet. Mount Marcy in the Adirondacks. I hope I pronounced that. Adirondacks, whatever, this is how it writes, is known for quite a phenomenon that hikers have given it a name. It's called the Vanishing Trail. So there is a lot of well-marked paths that have existed for decades on this mountain, and they disappear occasionally and inexplicably. That is really strange. I think I want to go hike this mountain. So really, guys, this is not bullshit. So there's experienced hikers that are becoming disoriented because these trails are disappearing despite perfect weather conditions and proper equipment. What? I'm always having problems to believe that. Let's look deeper into this. So these disorientations that occur with the hikers, they often coincide with reports of, and now it gets weirder, guys, time bubbles. So when I heard that the first time, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Is this a mountain where you can go time traveling? Wouldn't that be cool? I would like to go back to the ancient Romans and have a look at what they're doing. And yeah, let's find out. Can we time travel on Mount Marcy? So what are these time distortions that these hikers are experiencing? It's periods where hikers experience dramatic time distortions. Either they're losing hours or they cannot account for, so they're either losing hours they cannot account for. So it seems they don't know what they did for a certain period of time, or even the opposite. They find out that they're their hike or their journey has taken significantly less time than is physically possible. I mean, you can only hike a certain length, like 3 miles. The fastest you could run is that much time, right? And then they find themselves at another spot in a significant less time than physically possible. That really sounds strange. So they have covered more distance than possible in this time. There's local forest rangers that have actually documented dozens of cases where, really, guys, I'm not making this up, dozens of seasoned outdoor people that were on these trails, like with perfect navigation records, they have become inexplicably lost on like really straightforward routes. So super strange. And then Mount Marcy has also been the site of unusual weather phenomena, including highly localized storms that affect only small sections of the mountain while leaving the surrounding areas completely dry. Absolutely strange, guys. I really, the more I hear about Mount Marcy, the more I want to hike that thing. If you live in the area, let us know. Do you know something about that mountain? So there's documented cases about all of that. And the most scary ones or intriguing ones are the documented cases of how they call it phantom hikers. Like figures observed at a distance who vanish when approached. That sounds really ghostly, guys. It's often reported that these figures are wearing outdated clothing from different eras. So are they also time travelers that hiked at their time on that mountain and then there's a glitch? Guys, really, I don't believe stuff like this. I'm just telling you this. It's really documented. It's crazy. Of course, there's many skeptics. I'm one of them that attribute these experiences to the mountain's unique weather patterns. But where are these weather patterns coming from? And they also say, well, it could be the physiological effects of fatigue. But fatigue, well, you always have some form of fatigue if you're hiking somewhere, wherever you're hiking. So these phenomena should be reported somewhere else as well. The consistency and the detailed reports that really come from otherwise reliable witnesses are hard, or it's difficult to dismiss them entirely. And it gets even better, guys. New Hampshire, Mt.Adams, they call this mountain the Stargate. What could that mean? Within New Hampshire's mountain ranges, there's Mt.Adams, and that has earned the nickname the Stargate because of an extraordinary concentration of UFO sightings and unexplained aerial phenomena reported in its vicinity. So since the 1950s, witnesses have documented structured craft, light formations that move with intelligent purpose. That's how they describe it. And the objects appear to emerge from or disappear into the mountain itself. So I would ask, does the military have some hidden operation in there? Is that what could explain this? I mean, we've had a lot of UFO sightings recently and all the drone stuff, which still hasn't been cleared up. Again, I'm just telling you this. What makes these sightings at Mt.Adams so specifically compelling is that they have been witnessed so frequently, and they are being witnessed so frequently. So the next mountain that I'm really interested to climb, it's multiple witness reports that are coming from this. And it often includes experienced military and commercial pilots who are reporting this. And there's another phenomenon that comes with this area where you might think top secret military operation that even these local military guys don't know about, because there are unusual electromagnetic properties around that mountain. And there's researchers there that are trying to figure this out. So they document equipment failures and unexplained radiation spikes at specific locations around the mountain. And there's also local indigenous Abenaki legends that describe the mountain also as a sky portal. So that is strange, right? If that dates back quite a long time, it can't be a covert recent military operation. So their ancient legends describe it as a sky portal where spirit beings traveled between worlds. Wow, the US has really some very interesting mountains. You can do a lot of interesting stuff with these mountains. Interesting. So, and what is adding to the mountain's strangeness is the documented concentration of unexplained animal disappearances in the region around that mountain. For example, tracking dogs are following the trails that mysteriously end, as if the animals vanished mid-stride. Of course, the skeptics, like I am, attribute many sightings to military aircraft from nearby bases or atmospheric effects that could cause this, but the historic consistency of reports that predate modern activity and also their specific characteristics, they defy a conventional explanation. So interesting. Next one, Massachusetts, Mount Greylock. Another one that is strange, that has time slips and hauntings. Guys, I don't know, the more I hear this, do I really want to still go hiking in the US? I don't know. It's getting a little bit strange. So Massachusetts' highest point is at 3,489 feet, and it's called Mount Greylock. And it has accumulated a particular collection of temporal anomalies that locals call time slips. And also here, multiple reports, especially from hikers, that report experiences where time seems to accelerate or slow dramatically. Hours are running fast or hours are running slow. And brief hikes that would normally take not a long time somehow consume entire afternoons with no explanation for the lost time. Also, Mount Greylock is mentioned as the inspiration for Herman Melville's Moby Dick book. Some say he was writing it while he was looking at Greylock Mountain. I don't know the connection, what the mountain has to do with that story, but who knows? Because now this literary connection has spawned reports of phantom writings. Gosh, guys, what is this? This gets even better. So hikers that are hiking the trails of this mountain, they're finding pages of text that vanish when touched, or mysterious inscriptions that appear on trees and rocks, and they only disappear when other people look at them. Okay, now I think I do want to hike that mountain. Maybe you become an author if you're able to take a photograph of these pages quickly enough. I don't know, guys. This is really Interesting. And then this mountain has a very famous supernatural resident. They call it the phantom moose. It's like an enormous animal that appears before hikers and vanishes into like solid rocks. And there's multiple reports that report this. And what is also adding to the mountain's mysterious story is that it's often covered in clouds when the surrounding areas are completely clear of clouds. And locals are calling this the ghost crown of the mountain. And again, there's scientists looking at that, and they think, or that is their suggestion, that many of these phenomena relate to the mountain's unusual air currents and temperature inversions. But how exactly does that bring up pages of books or something like that? So these explanations leave many of these repeated reported experiences unaddressed. This is strange. Let's go to California. Mount Shasta. Again, they call it the portal to another dimension. This is quite an impressive mountain. It's rising dramatically from the other landscape that is there in Northern California. And it has long been considered one of North America's most mystical mountains. And it stands at 14,179 feet. And it is a volcano. It is a dormant volcano. But there's lots of legends that involve this volcano, from an advanced civilization that is called Lemuria, that was supposedly living inside the mountain, and Native American tribes considered it sacred ground. And today, it's a tourist attraction, but it also attracts like spiritual seekers. There's lots of hippies, and they're reporting experiences of intense energy and interdimensional portals. I don't know. Maybe they have smoked something. I don't know. But there's lots of hikers and campers. And really, they regularly report experiences of like strange glowing orbs, unexplained light phenomena, and even encounters with tall, white-robed figures who mysteriously vanish. Maybe that's Bigfoot. I don't know. Or just me having a bed sheet on top of me. No, I really don't know, guys. In California especially, I would say they're smoking something. But it's really, there's a lot of reports about this. So in 1931, a forest fire revealed what some claimed was an ancient Lemurian village on the mountain's slopes. But no archaeological evidence has been formally documented. And then also this mountain has unusual clouds, lenticular clouds. They're forming disc shapes above the peak. But I think we see this at a lot of mountains, usually at more active volcanoes. But of course, this also contributes to its otherworldly reputation. So with this mountain, I somehow think it's pretty clear that maybe, but who knows? Let's continue. Let's go to North Carolina. Brown Mountain has enigmatic lights. What the heck is this? So for over a century, the Brown Mountain lights phenomenon has puzzled scientists and has fascinated visitors in North Carolina's Blue Ridge Mountains. So there's colorful, mysterious orbs that appear to like float around dance and pulse in the night sky. And we've had reports all over North America, I think even all over the world, about stuff like this. So they're visible from multiple overlooks, including Wise Man's View. Maybe they're doing this to create a tourist attraction. Who knows, guys? But it was first documented in 1913. And at that time, you would think that they didn't have the technology and then wouldn't do this to create a tourist attraction. And it was documented by the USGS, by a US Geological Survey team. And since then, these lights have been investigated repeatedly with several explanations, like ranging from its car headlights to swamp gas to electrical atmospheric phenomena, but none of these explanations fully account for all the observed characteristics of these lights, especially the historical sightings that are predating cars. There's also native legends, like Cherokee legends speak of these lights as the spirits of warriors, so they have seen these lights. Other local tales suggest they're the lanterns of a woman that is eternally searching for her husband who disappeared on the mountain. Oh, good luck on finding him. And the lights appear most frequently after rainfall. Typically, they're yellow or white orbs that hover then and suddenly vanish or shoot across the sky. What the scientists are saying, behaviors that continue to defy conventional scientific explanations. Interesting. And then let's talk about a volcano that is not that far away from where I am. Mount Rainier in the state of Washington. They say it's a UFO haven. Really? That means the aliens are close. Oh my God. And also a missing plane mystery that comes with Mount Rainier. So Mount Rainier was catapulted into this UFO scenery, into the list of UFO places in 1947. There was a pilot, his name was Kenneth Arnold, and he reported seeing 9 crescent-shaped objects flying like saucers, like skipping across the water, and that was near the mountain. And that has effectively launched the modern UFO era with the term flying saucerer. This is where the term comes from. So Mount Rainier is over 14,000 feet high, 14,411 feet, and the sky is an active volcano. Whenever I look at Mount Rainier, it's not a friendly looking one. And if you look at where, in case of an eruption, its lahars and lava flows would go to a lot of densely populated areas. So if you live in that area, you probably know it. If you plan to move to that area, get educated. There's maps out there. So I didn't know this. It's a hot spot, obviously, for UFO sightings, and there's dozens of sightings reported annually. But what is also reported at this mountain, and that is a little bit more scary, is the mountain's connection to mysterious disappearances. Most notably, the case of a Marine Corps transport plane that vanished without a trace in 1946 with 32 Marines on board. Maybe the aliens caught it. Who knows, right? They took their UFOs and caught it. But really, they had extensive search efforts, but they couldn't find it. No wreckage, nothing was ever located. So that's why Mount Rainier has a reputation for anomalous phenomena. I didn't know that when I was first time I was close to the mountain looking at it from a residential property. It didn't make me feel good. I thought this thing is going to explode. It didn't look nice. Also, this mountain generates its own weather patterns. Of course, mountains do that. I wouldn't connect this to any strange phenomenon, but people are reporting that there's sudden fogs and clouds that appear to materialize from nowhere. But again, it's an active volcano. Sometimes this fog is engulfing hikers in moments of disorientation. So the locals that live there call it the Rainier's ghost. And scientists are also looking into this, and they attribute many of these effects to the mountain's massive size, of course, and the glacial cover that covers the mountain. And of course, this is often interacting with Pacific air masses, something warmer winds, or something that could produce these weather patterns. But witnesses continue to report experiences that, if they're true, what they're saying, defy conventional explanation. So there's still some mystery around Mount Rainier. And then we have a humming desert in Colorado. It's called the Great Sand Dunes and Mount Herard. So what's going on there? Mount Herard in Colorado's Sangre de Cristo Range, there is the Great Dunes National Park. It's basically in the shadow of the mountain, and it's home to a very bizarre acoustic phenomenon. So under certain conditions, the dunes emit a deep, resonant humming or booming, how they call it, booming sound that can continue for several minutes. So I'm wondering, is this connected to some wind patterns? Scientists call it the singing sands. And what is happening? This phenomenon occurs when the top layer of sand slides over the lower layers, and then it creates vibrations at specific frequencies. So I think we have an explanation here. There's nothing unusual, but what makes this location particularly unusual is the intensity and the duration of the sounds. People are describing these sounds similar to low-flying aircraft or distant explosions. The local Navajo and Ute traditions speak of these sounds as spiritual communications, and some of the visitors that go there, they report feeling unexplained vibrations throughout their bodies when the dunes sing. And then again, what's adding to the area's strangeness, of course, the aliens are there as well. Numerous UFO sightings have been reported around Mount Herard. And there is something strange going on in the nearby San Luis Valley. It contains Colorado's highest concentration of cattle mutilation cases. So this gets really strange, guys. It's like incidents where livestock are found with precise surgical-like incisions under mysterious circumstances. So that's not good. Maybe just some perverts out there that do that. This is big in Europe. They do this with horses and other animals. It's usually something sexual or something but it's a big problem. Surgical-like incisions sounds strange, but sounds human-made, right? Maybe there's someone that is not right in the head that does this, but they should be able to catch the person with cameras or something like this. So the Colorado Mountain, I think there's nothing too mysterious about it, but an interesting natural phenomenon. But there is a highest peak east of the Mississippi River that is at 6,684 feet. That is Mount Mitchell in North Carolina. Mount Mitchell has electromagnetic anomalies that are baffling visitors, hikers, but also researchers. Hikers frequently report compass malfunctions with needles spinning erratically or pointing in impossible directions when they're near the summit. So maybe this has something to do with the composition of the rocks in that mountain. If people bring electronic devices up on the mountain, they have mysterious battery drains or complete failure of the devices. But the strange thing is, they function normally once they're away from the mountain. So that's an interesting one. That one I want to hike again. These electromagnetic irregularities have spawned theories about natural magnetic deposits in the mountain, but they have conducted geological surveys and they have found nothing sufficient to explain the strength of these reported effects. And what's adding to the mountain's eerie reputation is its tendency to create its weather systems. Also here, sudden fogs that materialize seemingly from nowhere, enveloping hikers in completely white out conditions. Also, locals call this ghost fogs. The mountain has very high concentrations of minerals. So some say that these phenomena can be explained with the unusual geological composition of the mountain, like high concentrations of certain minerals. But it has another natural phenomenon that is called ball lightning. This is a rare atmospheric electrical phenomenon that also appears as luminous spherical objects during thunderstorms. So some say this is somehow related to creating all these mysterious things. And then we have some mountains in Arizona that already have a name that kind of tells us something's going on there. They're called Superstition Mountains, and you see these jagged peaks that rise basically from a desert landscape, and people say they're carrying one of America's most enduring legends, the Lost Dutchman's gold mine. So according to lore, German immigrant Jacob Waltz discovered an immensely rich gold deposit in the 1870s, but took its location to his grave. He didn't tell anybody.
Hidden Arizona. The Lost Dutchman gold mine is one of the most famous mysteries in state history. A fabulously rich gold mine that only one man knew about.
The problem is, we could say this is just a tale, but there's an alarming death toll that comes with these mountains. So there's dozens of treasure hunters that are going up there and did go up there to find it.
There's only one man who knows where the Lost Dutchman's gold is, and he's not talking anymore. In 1891, Jacob Waltz, the Lost Dutchman, took his secrets to the grave.
You can't ask for a cooler place.
And for the next 150 years...
So the mine's still out there, the mine's lost.
And they have perished under mysterious circumstances while they were searching for the mine. Many of the unalived people have been found. Head was found there and the rest there, if you know what I mean, or in inexplicable positions. My thought would be mountain lions or some animal, but they say there were no signs of struggle. Native Apache tribes considered these mountains the dwelling place of thunder gods and have warned about supernatural guardians that would protect the area from intruders. That's a nice explanation. And modern visitors, they report that they're feeling something like a disorienting experience, where familiar landmarks seem to shift position, which creates basically the sensation for them that they're walking in circles, despite walking actually on a straight path. And what's really bizarre is frequent reports of unexplained spook lights. Again, glowing orbs that appear at night and seem to follow hikers only to vanish when approached. Another tourist thing to draw people there? That's always my first thought. Geologists have looked at the mountain and they say, yeah, this mountain range contains unusual mineral formations that could potentially create magnetic anomalies. But it does not explain this wide range of phenomena. Who knows? Let's have a look at Maine, Mount Kataden. They call it the boundary of realities. It's Maine's highest peak, and it's the northern area of the Appalachian Trail. The local Penobscot tribe, I hope I pronounced this right, Mount Kataden holds deep spiritual significance. They named it Greatest Mountain, and they believed that it marked a boundary between our world and the spiritual realm. Modern day hikers are reporting weird things that aligns with this ancient belief. They say they are encountering shadow people, human-like figures that are visible in peripheral vision, and they vanish when directly observed. The only thing that's always strange is why one hiker says that the rumor starts, it spreads, other hikers are coming because they want to see it. And then if you look for weird things, you might believe that you saw something. This is always an explanation that I have. But yeah, it's a lot of reports. People are also reporting reality shifts on that mountain, like where familiar landscapes suddenly appear altered or foreign. And then moments later, they return to normal. I mean, I'm thinking these mountains are not that tall that you might be out of oxygen and you might hallucinate or something. Scientists have looked into this. So scientific instruments have recorded unexplained electromagnetic fluctuations near specific rock formations, particularly around the infamous Knife Edge Trail. That's what it's called. What is this? I don't know, guys. There's more. The most distinctive is that Mount Kataden's apparent ability to influence dreams. It gets weirder by the second. So researchers from the University of Maine have documented a statistically significant pattern of hikers reporting unusually vivid and similar dream content after camping on the mountain. Has often involved ancestral figures or ancient ceremonies that they had no prior knowledge of. Interesting. And then we have another mountain, or I would say this is a hill. It's in Vermont, Glastonbury Mountain. They call it the Bennington Triangle. And here we have a mountain that sits at the center of this region that is nicknamed the Bennington Triangle. And it seems stuff is disappearing there because it's named like this due to a series of unexplained disappearances between 1945 and 1950. So at least 5 people have vanished without a trace from this area, including experienced woodsman James Tedford, who disappeared while on a bus that passed near the mountain. So where's that bus? So that's really interesting. Witnesses have confirmed he was aboard at one bus stop, but had vanished by the next, with his belongings still in place in the bus. The mountain has a long history of being strange. ancient tribes have considered it cursed ground. They say evil winds would swallow travelers. Modern hikers that are hiking there report disembodied voices, often described as speaking in an unknown language, and unexplained footsteps following them on empty trails. I don't want to hike that one, guys. That's too scary. Electronic equipment frequently malfunctions, with cameras capturing unexplained orbs and mists not visible to the naked eye. Perhaps most disturbing are the reports that are coming from, oh my God, this is the Bennington monster, how they call it. It's described as a tall, hairy creature that moves with unnatural speed through the dense forest. So maybe that's Bigfoot. Maybe it's in other places as where they're searching for it. Wildlife officials have something to say about that. They attribute such sightings to misidentified bears. Okay, could be. But the descriptions from how they call it credible witnesses often note features that are inconsistent with known wildlife in the area. They have also conducted geological studies to find out what's going on with that mountain, and they have revealed unusual concentrations of certain minerals that could potentially affect electromagnetic fields. But still, again, it remains insufficient to explain the wide range of reported phenomena. But maybe the electromagnetic fields that they have confirmed in some of the other mountains that I've reported as well could be an explanation. So not aliens or ghosts, maybe just something geological. And there are gravitational anomalies. Pikes Peak. It's 14,115 feet tall. It's towering over Colorado Springs, one of America's most famous gravitational anomalies. A section of road where objects appear to roll uphill against gravity. Maybe just an optical illusion? So many such gravity hills exist worldwide, and they are attributed to optical illusions. What makes Pike Peak's version of this gravity hill unusual is that really scientific instruments record gravitational inconsistencies in the area. So the mountain is also notorious for its effect on electronic equipment, radio devices, which frequently pick up transmissions that cannot be traced to any known source. So are the aliens there again? I don't know. They call them phantom broadcasts. Sometimes they contain voices speaking in languages that scientists and experts cannot identify. Sometimes it's Morse code sequences that translate into nonsensical patterns. And again, this mountain summit also experiences weather phenomena that meteorologists have struggled to explain. So it's not that scientists are not looking at these reports and these phenomena. That's why we cannot just say, that's bullshit, it doesn't exist, people are crazy. Scientists are looking into some of that. And for example, there's perfectly circular clouds that form only over the peak. And the weird thing is, despite strong winds, they maintain their shape. I mean, we know that volcanoes, for example, can produce these rings, like Mt.Adams does this. There's also indigenous legends. They speak of Pikes Peak as a gathering place for thunder beings. Modern day visitors report unusual concentrations of ball lightning during storms. So maybe again, minerals or something in the mountains. But most scientifically puzzling for the experts are documented cases where the mountain appears to affect time measurement again. Oh, maybe guys, maybe all these mountains are the key to time travel. I'm just saying. But what do I know? So again, let's get back to mountain appears to affect time measurement. Atomic watches, when they come close to the mountain, are running at measurably different rates at specific locations on the mountain compared to identical devices at the base of the mountain. Theoretically, this is what scientists are saying, is that gravitational effects from the mountain's mass could cause minor time dilation effects. But the magnitude of the discrepancies that are reported exceeds what standard physics would predict. So they don't know what it is. And then, of course, why not? We have a living mountain in Vermont, Mount Mansfield. It's Vermont's highest peak, and it presents what locals call the face in the mountain. It's basically a profile in the mountain that resembles a human face when people look at this mountain from the east. But that's not why this mountain is famous. Mount Mansfield exhibits something that some researchers classify as responsive phenomena, like events that appear to react to human thoughts or intentions. What? This must be something with gravitational or electromagnetic fields or something. Hikers report unusual experiences where spoken wishes for weather changes are followed, and all this comes, guys, by immediate localized shifts in conditions or lost items that are suddenly appearing in plain sight after verbal request for help finding them. I really want to hike that mountain, and I think I have lost $10 million somewhere. Really, guys, this mountain is interesting. Maybe I can find it. The mountain has also unusual acoustic properties. Sometimes it carries sound for impossible distances, while at other times the sound is being completely dampened just feet away from their source. So that's why multiple research teams came to the mountain, and they have documented infrasound emissions, like sound waves below the range of human hearing, but they can nonetheless affect human mood and perception. And they have occurred in patterns that some analysts claim are too regular to be random. So where is this phenomenon coming from? What I find interesting with all these mountains, and I hope you do too, that scientists have looked at it, and some of it is documented, right? That there is really something happening, and they just don't know what. And what's most intriguing about this mountain is the many documented cases of how they call it synchronistic events. You might want to ask, what is this? It's where hikers that in their lives are experiencing personal crises, they report encountering exactly the animal, person, or natural sign that holds specific symbolic meaning to their situation. Huh? What? Who gives these symbolic meanings is the question that I have. And of course, there's a lot of skeptics. I'm one of them. They attribute these experiences to confirmation bias and the psychological tendency to find meaning in coincidence. And yeah, that is a possible explanation. But the problem is the frequency and the specific details of the reports has attracted the attention of many researchers, especially researchers that are studying the intersection of quantum physics and consciousness. So maybe this mountain is an interesting research project. There must be something that has a natural explanation in this mountain, the composition of minerals, plus electromagnetic fields, magma underneath, whatever, that should give an explanation to this, in my opinion. What do you think? It's always, right, since mankind exists, if we couldn't explain something, a mystery that would challenge our understanding of the natural world, we have always invented some tales and some mystery, ghosts or gods or whatever, to try to find an explanation. And science offers explanations for many of these phenomena, like the unusual weather patterns that are created by topography, electromagnetic effects from mineral deposits. But at the moment, when we look at all these mountains, a significant proportion of these documented experiences that are also scientifically documented remain unexplained by conventional means. That's interesting, right? That's why I think some of the mountains sound interesting to go for a hike. And it's also the consistency of reports over generations, across cultures and education levels, suggests that maybe there's something beyond these mere folklore that is at work in these locations, and that should be scientifically explored to a greater extent. So I hope you found this interesting. This was a little bit of a mystery about mountains, not only like the pure geologic features, but maybe what some of the geologic features could cause in us humans. And if you like this video, please leave it a like, share it with your friends. And if you want to know about the latest earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, subscribe to my channel. And if you want to support the channel and my work, I have a buymeacoffee.com/silky site. There you can do this. And of course, through supers here on YouTube, and just through sharing and liking this video. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And I hope I see you in the next video. All the links are in the description of this video. Also, if you want to become a supporting monthly member of this channel for behind the scenes videos and making offs and a lot of other stuff. So just check it out. I see you soon. Stay safe. Bye-bye.